Welcome to another episode of Life Change Transformation. As always, I'm here with the super and brilliant Maeve Langford from Ireland. She's a life coach. She's transforming people's lives and truthfully blazing a trail when it comes to that whole arena of improving people's lives and giving them a chance to live a life they absolutely love. So she's amazing. Myself, I'm here. My name is Gary Benoit. I'm a retired police officer, author, and speaker. My book is a call for service, and so if you get a chance, check it out as well. It's amazing. So as always, it's always great to be here with you, Maeve. This is such a fun time. We're like I say, top 10 podcast that that we are now, which is so cool. And and we're going to talk a bit today about generating that energy for change. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about because we know that it takes some effort. It
Yeah.
takes some effort. And we're talking about transforming our lives. And you being a coach, of course, you understand this probably deeper than even most people do because of the training you've been through and some of the stuff you've done in your life. But ultimately, we tend to live life by default as a society,
Yeah.
right? I think we just run through life as life is, right? We as things come up, we're just doing things, but we're not really intentionally doing anything. We're just existing. And so we want to make that change. We want to generate that change, generate that energy to change. That's a big thing because you have to put some effort and you have to pour some energy into this to get this to really start to make a difference for you to do this intentionally.
Exactly. And the words that are coming up in me, Gary, as you're describing that is that like wishing and wanting doesn't change anything,
Yes.
right? And we put a lot of energy into wishing and wanting. And I know I've done, especially before I started to learn these kind of tools of transformation. Spent many years in the job wishing it would be different, wanting to change, but not really knowing how to work with the energetics of it. I think that's really what we're talking about
Hmm.
today is like the energetics of transformation. And how do I manage my energy and generate energy for the result that I want rather than, replicating more of the same, which is
Correct.
exactly what you're describing. Yeah.
Yeah. And like there's a lot of things that we want in life. I think we have lots of wants, I think, as human beings. And lots of times those wants are just life trying to express differently through us, right? That want for more, that drive for more. Where it really becomes important to pay attention to that is the desire. How deep is that desire, right? Desire is the real driving factor of do you really want this or is it just something that you know, how badly do you want it essentially is the question I'm asking here.
Yeah.
And that comes along with a lot of stuff, right? Desire. Um, when you want to do something and you want to change something in your life, there's a lot of letting go too. There's stuff you have to let go of. There's things and people, as we prepared for this, um, I was reflecting on my time. And of course, I spent 25 years in policing. And in that whole career, I work with many, many, many amazing people. Worked beside many people, worked in the same car with people for a couple of years at a time. Run into the partnership and it's always been curious to me that you get into a group of people like we call it a squad or a unit, and you work closely with those people, and they become your circle of friends. They become who influences you. They become like their families become a part of your family's lives, and you create that relationship. And then you think, well, we're going to be, we'll keep in touch. Something happens, the people move, get promoted, they get new jobs, they get new desires, they go other places, and next thing you know, those people you don't even see anymore.
Yeah.
And that's like, and it's interesting because like I just recently had a group of my old people that I was supervising. They all came by and we sat down. We had a little gathering, a little conversation just to catch up to see how things are going because I had been retired now for a little while, and that part of it I really did miss, that camaraderie part, that piece of part, right? That whole idea of like, and you said something to me in the preparation was the a season.
Yeah, that people come into our lives
reason,
for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
right? And so when you think about transforming, you think about the desire to change. Sometimes those people don't that you had once in your life or were around surrounding you in your life, you start to grow and they start to sort of fall off. And you call it very Machiavellian. You're like cutting people out of your lives and you're right, but you're not doing it in a way that's necessarily mean, but it's no different than anything else. As you change, things have to fall off.
Yeah.
Old habits, old things you used to do have to be gone. I mean, that's not that's just change, just the way it is. If you're improving and you're growing, then you're essentially shedding that skin, right?
Yeah.
You're shedding
Yeah.
off
It's
that,
like shedding.
right? Right. And so I think it's really cool because when you think about the energetics of it, that takes a lot of energy to do that, correct? When you agree, that takes so much energy to really be focused on that and to because
Well,
when
there's
you
a certain amount. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain amount focused on the new and the becoming and
Mhm,
putting energy, the desire, and putting energy into that. And when we think about shedding the skin, I don't think that needs to take energy. And
no,
that's, I mean, it would be kind of more Machiavellian if it was that you were orchestrating all of this. But really, and I don't know if I heard this analogy from somebody else or where it came from, but what someone said was that it's as natural as the leaf falling off the tree in the autumn.
mm,
That some of the old habits, old practices, old beliefs, and also some of the old friends, that we either release them very naturally. I mean, and what I was saying to you, Gary, like if we think back to our friends in high school or maybe in
mhm,
university or in our first job or whatever it is, and we thought like they were going to be our friends for life.
mhm,
And some of them have stayed in the mix,
mhm,
but not all of them.
mhm.
And mostly there hasn't been a big blow up, or there wasn't a kind of like I'm cutting you out of my life now. It was just it just naturally over
Just a
time. People,
mhm,
like you said, they go to different parts of the country, different jobs. Your kids are at different stages, and there's just that kind of natural falling away. And I think when we talk about the energetics of it, I think it's about just being okay with that. Because oftentimes we're investing energy, especially with old friends and even family members, and we're investing a lot of energy in keeping it the way it was, just out of habit.
mhm,
And and if we just stop doing that and allow it to kind of evolve in its own way, then just allow that to be natural.
mhm,
Allow that to be
mhm,
natural. And where that's important then in terms of the energetics as well, is that energy that you were pouring into trying to make it be the same, or try to resurrect it in some way. That energy now can flow into the new relationships
mhm,
and the new activities and the new outcomes and results that we want to
mhm,
create. So
mhm,
I think it's not fighting the reason, the season, or the lifetime piece when it
mhm,
comes to people, and just letting it go, just letting it go.
mhm. There's the high school analogy. You talk about. I think you would be at least in Canada. It's like you look at high school and they say, well, it's the best time, and you have all these good
Hmm.
friends, and they really romanticize the high school
Of course.
graduation, and that's very romantically thought of, right? That was the best time of your life, and uh and and I just had my son who's just, he just graduated high school, as a matter of fact, like not too long ago. When you ask him about that and that perspective, he doesn't see it that way. He's like, no, my life is not yet to become. I'm just starting. I'm just launching off in my life, and he can't wait to see where he's going, right? And a lot of that's to do with the fact that we've created this environment of growth inside of our family, right? We want to grow and expand and be, that whole idea of that dream building and continuing to dream, as because kids dream all the time about whatever. They can be an astronaut one day and a fireman the next day and then an animal the next day, right? So there's none of that boundary for them. So he's continuing that idea, right? That team of growth. But there are those people that do stick around. Like I have one person or two people out of that whole out of high school that I haven't talked to people. I may not even see this guy for 15 years, but it wouldn't matter. I'd
Yeah.
sit down with him for a coffee and we'd have like we hadn't even left. Like it's even though there's 15 years of separation, and those are pretty special relationships. They're not going to be plentiful, I don't think. I think that they're very, very, very interesting. But um as you grow though, right? As you decide to grow and you decide to expand and you're the natural falling off, the visualization I have is like when snow's melting in the spring
Mhm.
and the water's running and you're changing and things are transforming. If there's a big block of snow, lots of that snow will just fall off as it goes, right? And as you continue on, right? It's kind of that idea of like things just falling away naturally as you continue to the road of your dreams, right? And the energetics around that is really key to be okay with that. I think that's really important to
Yes,
be okay with that stuff. It's okay to have people that were there that aren't there now. It's okay to have grown. And like sometimes you realize that, the habits you used to have and the stuff you've changed into, grown into, it's you don't want to be that person anymore, right? Like
exactly.
I didn't want to be that same person anymore when I decided to grow.
Yeah.
And that right away precludes a few people that are going to continue to do what they've always done,
Yeah. Yeah, and
right?
they don't want to hang out with you either
No,
because you've changed. Do you know what
no,
I mean? They
yeah,
they want to do their own thing.
yeah, they
So
want to do the
so
same thing.
let it be. Let it
Yeah,
be.
yeah, and and this and really what comes to mind as well is the word resiliency.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that, and people always are looking to get back to certain things, right? So, for example, you want to grow and I want to get back to this. So that word back is a common word. I think resiliency is the growth. I think the resiliency, the idea is growth. I think the word shouldn't be back. It should be growth.
There's no going back,
No,
really. I mean, if
there's
you
no
think
going
of,
back.
we're in this ever expanding universe,
Yes.
like there's no going back to something.
No.
We can bring some of the energy of it and recreate it and you going forward, but it's not we can't go back.
Right. Right. And you can only really hindsight's always that it's a cliche statement. Hindsight's 2020. But when you consider what that means, it's you can only connect the dots going looking back anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're growing, who wants to go back? Once again, there should be no feeling of going back to something. I think that's where the energy comes from, right? The energy of understanding and pouring energy into, well, I'm just want to grow here. I want to continue to grow and learn and be that.
you know, Mary Morrissey is a mentor and a very wise woman who's really shaped my life in many ways. And she talks about how like everything in our body is designed for moving forward. Like we can't see at the back of our heads. We see forward, with a bit of peripheral, but forward, and our hands work best moving forward. Our legs, I mean, we're capable of walking backwards or maybe tying something behind my back, but
Fair.
it's designed to move forward and the ease is in moving forward.
Correct.
And again, it's a bit like that, people talk about, going with the flow in a river. Like that's how it's supposed to be. Again, when
Hmm.
we talk about the energetics, we want to flow with, where we want to go and,
Hmm.
and flow with life rather than resisting it or trying to get back to
Hmm.
something. So yeah, this whole piece about just releasing what's not serving you.
Hmm.
Um, and again, that can be thinking. When we grow up, our families maybe voted a certain way or prayed a certain way or had views about things in a certain way. And as kids, we just take it all in and go along and accept and believe it. But as adults, we get a chance to say, well, do I really believe that? Do I want to believe that? Does it serve me to believe that? And sometimes again, it's just like releasing the stuff that doesn't
Hmm.
fit anymore.
Hmm.
Same like we would with our clothes,
For sure.
let them go.
Yeah.
Let them
Let it
go.
go. It doesn't fit. No big deal.
Yeah.
Or it's worn out. Why hang on to clothes that are worn out, right? I mean, I do that all
Yeah.
the time. Like, call my wife once again is when I talked about this, if I mentioned on a few podcasts about her ability to declutter and get rid of stuff, and she's like, why are you wearing that? That's got holes in it. Why do you still have that? It's like, well, I don't
Yes.
know. Good
Yeah.
question. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's when we notice again, it's noticing what
Yeah,
you're
for
noticing. And
sure.
sometimes somebody
Yeah,
else helps us to
yeah,
notice. But
yeah.
in that moment, you have a choice.
And so when we talk about generating change and finding and really looking at the energy around that, what are some ways, like what when you think about that idea of, okay, I gotta generate this energy, I gotta generate this piece, like tangibility is important, I think, for people. I think what can they do to implement in their lives to create that energetics of the change. So generating the energetics piece, like what can we give them that they can put into their lives or daily routines or something that they could just really ramp, because some of this is repetitive, you guys. Like sometimes we've talked about certain things and themes throughout the year we've been here so far. But the thing is that the repetition is the key. And I think
Yeah.
that understand and hearing it in a different way, hearing it from a different perspective is always really, really important. And so, because you've grown, because if you're following our podcast from the very beginning, ideally, we know that. We know you've grown, you've changed, you've done some stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
you're not the same person that would have heard this message maybe 7 or 8 months
No.
ago, right? And so that there is the reason why there's a lot of overlap in what we talk about, and because that's really, really important to growth, is to hear it when you're at that new stage of your life, to hear it again and
Yeah,
hear it again
exactly.
and
And
hear it
again,
again.
you're not hearing it exactly the
No,
same.
exactly.
I mean, we're not even expressing it exactly the same,
Correct.
and it lands at a whole new
Yep.
level.
Yep. So this
Yeah.
these tips. So when you think about that energetics of it, and what is it that you think could I have a few in my brain, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts
Yeah,
are.
so well, so just to be clear, like one big piece is to just release what's not serving, as we've just been talking about. I think the other piece is like this is what I witness in myself, no less than anybody else, is that you build a vision or an intention or a goal for something that you would really love. And especially if it feels a bit out of reach, right? There's a part of me, yes, I know I would love it, but this is how people explain it here anyway, is that like, yes, I'd love it, but I'm afraid that I'll be if I go after it and I don't get it, I'll be disappointed. So I dial down the I'd love it feeling, because I think that's gonna help me to avoid the pain of not having it if it doesn't work out. And again, in terms of the energetics of transformation, that's totally the wrong way to
Mm-hmm.
go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you would love it, again, it's like the wolves, Gary. Which wolf
Mm-hmm.
am I going to feed? Am I going to feed the, well, what if I can't have it and I'm disappointed energy? Or am I going to feed the, I'd love that energy? And even as I say it, like, which feels more expansive?
Mm-hmm.
Well, loving it feels more
For
expansive. And
sure.
again, we get two signals in life, the longings and the discontents, and the contraction and the expansion. That's it. That's all we ever need to know around the energetics.
Mm-hmm.
And if it feels expansive and if it feels like I'd love that, go for it, and give it energy. Generate the energy for change by feeding the thing that you would love with your attention, with and again, sometimes we talk about, you don't talk about it to people all the time until you're a bit more steady state in it yourself. You hold it a bit sacred, but you're feeding it with energy. You're talking about it with partners in believing, or your mastermind group that we talked about a
Mm-hmm.
few episodes back. You're talking about it with people who can hold it with
Mm-hmm.
you and for you, especially in those moments when you're feeling a bit wobbly yourself. So definitely, having the vision, being very clear and specific about the vision or the intention, and then feeding it with our attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where am I eyes on the prize, right? I see your Oilers piece
Mm-hmm.
up there
Yeah.
behind, like, again, for any of you listening in Ireland today, the Oilers are, well, you explain it, Gary. They're a nice hockey team,
Yeah,
but
they're
they
a
had
hockey
an
team.
amazing season.
Great season. They ran right to the very end of the finals. They didn't quite win the big trophy, but they were right there. They were right there at the end, right?
And they kept coming back from
Mm-hmm.
behind, like all the
Mm-hmm.
build up to that final. And you could see and hear in their mindset. It was like, we're going after the big
Mm-hmm.
one. Like, what are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the possibility of defeat, or are you going to feed the possibility of lifting the cup?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the same for us. We want to be managing, noticing what we're noticing your energy. Am I in the kind of doldrums, or am I kind of in that optimistic, expectant, hopeful, I'm doing this kind of energy? And you want, and it's okay that we have bad days, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
okay that we get distracted, or we feel it's out of our reach
Mm-hmm.
occasionally, but then we want to catch that and shift it back.
For sure.
Shift it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the thing that comes to mind in listening to all that stuff and the Oilers analogy and stuff, like, there's in sport's a great analogy for a lot of things in life, right?
Yeah,
Because you're going to play the game. If you're not playing the game, then you're on the sideline. So at least you got to play the
exactly.
game, right? I think if you, the idea that you're going to just sit on the sideline just because you don't think you can win, it seems a little bit silly, right? When you're looking at it from a sporting perspective, like, well, no, I want to play the game. I want to get in the game. So if you want to be in the game, get in the game, create your vision, start
Exactly.
going. If it feels really good to you, and I think there's a desire piece. Like if you really want something, like truly desire it, that really should be the energy that drives you forward, right? Desire for success, desire to and to get to a certain level. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's in a relationship, maybe it's in business. It can be really, truthfully, any of those areas of our lives with our friends. Even that desire to have a really good, solid friendship core. That's still a desire, right? You still want to have that. Um, And so you have to get it, you have to get off the bench. You have to actually create a vision, get a step into the arena and say, okay, well, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, as in sport, sometimes you get right to the almost to the goal and you don't quite get there. Right.
Yeah.
And
So
there's that moment of like, huh. Like the Edmonton Oilers, for example, they worked all season. They came back and they came back and they came back and they weren't even supposed to make the playoffs because they started the year horribly. Like they were
yeah.
like they were in last place a quarter of the way through the season, which is a lot of games to make up. And they ended up right at the very final, getting to the end and just, they were one game away essentially from winning, one game away from this trophy, this championship. We can feel like that sometimes. We get in our life, we get in our vision, we get right there, and we feel like we've done everything, I've had lots of those moments in my lifetime, right? Didn't quite get to where I was hoping. Then we have a choice to make.
Mm.
So I think you have the desire. That's the power of decision, deciding to get back in the arena, get back on, okay, I, and then asking yourself, what did I learn?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Exactly.
did I
Because
learn?
there's no
Because
dishonor when there's
no,
learning.
right. And so really, yeah, I didn't get to that, whatever that was, but I learned some stuff along the way. Okay, how can I use that now to help me increase my desire, increase
Yeah.
my ability, and to get to that success level? And then it's gratitude.
Yeah. You're great to always bring us back to
Right.
gratitude.
And I think
Yeah.
it's gratitude as well. Like, uh, and I, gratitude, it holds a very special place for me. And
Yeah.
I talk about it a lot because it does. Oh, I think back at the journey that I began in 2008, nine, I guess. And I look back and I just consider all the steps I had to take um, to get to where I am today, to sit here in front of you today and to have this collaboration. Like, this is, 2000, let's say it's been 12 years or 13 years, 14 years, I guess, of like really working. So it's been 14 years in the making to get here today. Like, this is
Mhm.
not an overnight journey. I didn't all of a sudden become successful in 5 minutes of making a decision. I had a lot of fall downs along the way, but man, am I so grateful for all of those experiences, every last single one of them, even the crappiest situations I've been in prior to that breakdown in 2007, 8, 9. Those situations I have the most gratitude for. It's taken me a while to get there. Don't get me wrong. This didn't happen once again. This didn't happen overnight. But gratitude is so key because if you can really be grateful for like even the fall downs and the bad ones, the bad moment. I'm gonna quote them bad moments. We give it power, right? Bad, good. It's no bad or good. It's just a moment. But we categorize them as good or bad. Um, those moments were I'm so grateful for those moments because I learned the absolute most about myself,
Yeah.
about who I didn't want to be, who I do want to be. How am I going to grow?
Yeah.
And without gratitude for that, it would be hard to be where I'm at now, right? And so, you have gratitude, you have your desire, you have the the will to just play the game, just be in the game,
Yeah.
right? Just be there, decide for it, make those decisions. And that's how you really start to create, because it's going to feel, I can feel it just talking about it here. I can feel the energy inside my body. I can feel it already. Like it wells up inside of me because of all those experience. And I know the power of what that can do for people.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think when you couple that with your vision, and you are okay with things that are falling off, because you're going to, right.
Yeah.
You couple that together, like the path forward truly, once again, it's not going to be smooth and it's not going to be straight line, but it's going to be something that's going to be magical.
Yes, exactly. And I guess that's one of the things again around, the energy for change is like keep coming back, especially in moments of setback. And sometimes we have to just allow ourselves some of the disappointment of that. That's okay.
100%.
But then it's like, would I still love it? Would
Hmm.
I still love it? And if you would, there has to be a way. And the setback is just a not this way, right? And
Correct.
it's just a process of elimination sometimes, to just find, well, okay, what else might work? What else might work? And keeping going after that.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
that statement. You just not this way. That is such
Yeah.
a profound statement.
Yeah.
Like, I love that statement. That's a great statement. Like, it's just not this way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
Um,
again, like if we don't understand that, it's very easy to just kind of say, okay, I guess that wasn't supposed to be for me. But if we like, I just keep going back. Like if you think when we were learning to walk as kids, and we probably can't remember that
no,
particularly, but
but
chances
we've seen
are
someone learn how to
we
walk though.
we've seen it, and also we can probably remember learning how to ride a bike.
Mm,
If
absolutely.
anybody if you're listening today and you learn to ride it, we can remember that. And there were a lot of bumps and scrapes and pain and disappointment and tears, maybe. But we just wanted to be able to do it. So we just, and we got up and we did it again. And we asked and we watched somebody who was maybe a bit older and a bit better at it. And we got help maybe from grown-ups around us, and or we just did it ourselves and we just persevered and persevered. But we got there. And I don't know why this happens, but as kids, we allow that in ourselves and for ourselves. But as adults, it's, we get embarrassed, or, we don't want to make a show of ourselves, or we just give up on some of these things so easily at the first setback. And we really want to tell ourselves, no, actually, this is how I learn. This is just
Mm,
part of the process. It doesn't have to be defining in any way. It's just
mhm.
like, okay, next, get up again, and we have analogies for this, getting back in the saddle or whatever it is. And we, often I think these phrases that are in common parlance, we've forgotten the power of them, you
Correct.
know?
Yeah.
And
You said something else too, is you may have a setback and it'd be pretty easy. There's lots of setbacks that happen in people's lives, and everybody's situation a little bit different, but you have those moments, you get set back, you get kind of feel like you get on your butt a little bit, right? Knocked down. You said, well, the question was simple, like, well, is it, if I still would love this, universe, increase my desire for this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
As that
And
piece,
show
right?
me another way,
Show me
you
another
know?
way, right? What else can I do here in this moment, right? What did I
Yeah,
learn here? What else can I do here? And
yeah,
as we wrap up this whole idea of energetics and generating that state, right? Because we want people to really generate and be okay with all of it, because it's important to have that full spectrum around your success. To know it's going to be ups, downs, backwards, and sometimes you're going to fall down and you're going to almost reach your goal and it is not going to be there, and then you're going to almost whatever, and you got to recalculate or redo something, or something comes up, right? Because that's going to happen in life. As we kind of wind this down, is there anything specific that you want to leave with the guys and gals that are listening to this?
yeah. And it was something you said, put this in my mind, but it's like, but again, when we think about the energetics of it, and flowing with the river of life and going along, and yes, there'll be obstacles, and the water just keeps going.
Mhm.
It'll flow around the obstacle, it'll build up to go over the obstacle, it'll go under the boulder or around the branch and the log or whatever it is that's blocking its route. And I think we just want to be a bit more like that ourselves, and to not resist. We get like the river doesn't kind of say, well, it's not fair that there's a boulder, or it's not fair that there was a storm last night. It just accepts it. And then it just, it builds up energy to go over, around, or under. And I think we lose when we're talking about, the energetics of all of this, we lose so much energy in just fighting the way it is instead of just saying, okay, this has happened, this is how it is. Now what?
Mm,
No, and there will be something, when
mm,
and I sometimes I say to my clients, and I offer it to you listening today, to say to yourself, what could I think, do, or say in this moment that will just raise my vibration a little bit?
mm,
And every time I just raise my vibration a little bit, then, law of attraction goes to work to bring in something at that. I mean, it's always working, but if I raise my vibration, now suddenly I'm on a frequency where I can get a fresh idea, think of something better to think, do, or say.
mhm,
And
mhm,
that raises the vibration, and then I'm attracting in at that higher level, and then I
mhm,
can raise it again and
mhm.
again. So
That's awesome. Besides the gratitude and the desire piece and the growth piece and asking questions, deciding for stuff, those are the things that are really, really important. I want to leave people with a story. Consider yourself on a stage in an empty arena, and someone comes to you and says, "Hey, under one of these chairs is a check for $1 million. You have 10 minutes to go find that $1 million. How fast would you be flipping chairs?"
hmm, pretty fast.
Right? And would you stop after the first five? If you did five chairs and you went, I guess the universe doesn't want me to have this money. Well, I guess the universe says, well, no, not for me. I guess it wasn't for me, but you only did 5 or 10 chairs or 20 chairs or 50 chairs. Would you not just flip chairs until you couldn't flip chairs anymore?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you know what's out there. You just keep flipping chairs. And so the analogy is you put as much energy in and you know what's out there. That goal is out there. If you have the dream, if you're dream the dream, there is no that's your dream. That it can be yours. Right. If you
Yeah.
put the effort and you decide for it, and then that dream's there, that dream was put there by infinite, by the divine, by God. And so really that's your dream. And so go after it and keep flipping chairs. It doesn't matter if it takes you 10 years or 20 years, but just keep flipping chairs until you get there, you know?
I love
That's
that because I was thinking to say as well, like we have to be in action. It's not always about managing my thinking, managing my energy. We do have to be taking steps in that direction. And some of them work out great, and some of them we don't know. Like you said, Steve Jobs, we can only join all the dots backwards. But if we keep taking the step that's ours
mhm.
to take, absolutely it'll move us in the
Yeah.
direction we want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think that dream is yours and go after it and be in the game. Just play the game. Just be in there. Like, be in the arena because you can't win if you don't play. If you don't decide and get in, like, using the sports analogy, just get in there and do what needs to be done. And sometimes you just got to keep going. Sometimes it just, uh,
I think my word for the month is going to be keep flipping chairs.
keep
Keep
flipping
flipping
chairs.
that
Yeah.
chair.
Like really, right?
Yeah,
Because if you know the $1 million is out there, well, just keep flipping chairs. Just
exactly.
go get it,
Exactly.
right? So, anyways, that's what I have for you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. Once again, we do thank all of our listeners for continuing to tune in to us. We're on social media at Maeve Langford. Myself is at Frontline Resiliency Project. Maeve's got lots of stuff on the go out there in Ireland. If you're in the neighborhood, uh, you know, connect with her, have a conversation with her. It's amazing to see what she's doing there. She is the leading edge. She is the leading edge of that transformation in Ireland, which is really, really cool. And of course, as always, my book's on Amazon, and connect with us. We'd love to connect with you guys and just have conversations if you can. We'll try to return messages as best we can. And that's it. Until next time, you guys, we will see you in a few weeks. Thank you very much, and have a great couple weeks.